morning and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast, brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Jim Finch and I'll be your host for two stories on Jose Chile DeCastro, a story on Dr. Turtleboy's ongoing saga against Kate Peter, and as usual, a look at the GoFundMe market and a look into this day in history. It's a stormy day here in north central Pennsylvania. Storm clouds are moving in and we're expecting some much needed rain this afternoon. It may play hell with the internet connection, but our well needs topping off, so we embrace the spirit of the sprinkles. This was a rare day when most of the news popped off after we went to bed, so we faced a 3 a.m. of oh crap, I've got to listen to DeCastro again. This time it was noteworthy for his attempts to set up a union of independent journalists, which kind of defeats the purpose of being a union or being independent. I guess he saw that DirectD has one and decided to be just like his hero. Oh well, let's get on with the news. GoFundMe, DeCastro victory spoiled by LIA. It was a day of bare minimums as coincidental $10 donations to Garrett Press with Ranker Van Net's ongoing legal defense campaign and Jose Chile DeCastro's lawyer fund only all dollars go to lawyers funds would have put them in a tie with their own ongoing expenses fund had a $20 donation to Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz's billboard truck fund not swooped in and stole the victory for the day. The tie for second place appeared to be a coordinated effort to at least tie our daily Hate Watchers donation in response to our recent callouts of DeCastro for his less than stellar performances in his fundraising efforts. Despite previous boasts of being an ad executive in New York City and previous claims that he had big money donors, DeCastro's recent struggles with fundraising were on display on his Monday night live stream, where he said he had to dip into his personal funds to pay a lawyer, which we assume to be Press with Ranker's attorney, as crowdsourcing did not raise enough money to cover the $6,000 needed to pay the monthly payment. DeCastro stated that he paid the money directly to the lawyer, so those waiting for matching funds to be posted on Ranker's GoFundMe account can stop waiting for an update from DeCastro. Despite the massive failure of his fundraising efforts on the part of Ranker, DeCastro refused to change his ways during Monday night's late-night live stream. Starting hours after most on the East Coast of the United States were in bed, DeCastro was toned down in his pitch to his customers and made sales a secondary priority for the first time in quite some time. The YouTuber said he makes profit to help people. He stated that he was a businessman who was out to make profit, but he used his profit to help others. Pushing sales of his indestructible trifold, he admitted that the trifold could be destroyed if you put an effort into it, but denied that it could be easily ripped, despite YouTube videos showing how easily it could be ripped in half. DeCastro did not respond to a recent video by attorney Patrick J. Darcy that showed that DeCastro may have limits on the amount of restitution he can sue the state of Nevada for as a result of the overturning of his conviction for obstructing an officer and interfering in a traffic stop. Darcy claimed that the only law he could find allowing those wrongfully convicted to sue the state of Nevada only applied to felonies and was limited in scope of possible monetary awards to the plaintiffs. If true, this was a major blow to DeCastro's desire to win a 7-figure payout from Nevada for his detainment, which was the goal of his most recent GoFundMe campaign. In that GoFundMe, DeCastro promised to throw a party of equal value to the donations he received towards the future 7-figure payout as incentive for donors. It is unclear if DeCastro would issue refunds to donors based on this new information. On that note, if you'd like to join our hate watcher in making us take your money without hope of a refund, as I spent it on surviving, and also forcing me to continue to write this column each morning, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Turtleboy claims Peter bond to be revoked. Aiden Turtleboy Kearney broke the news on his Twitter feed Monday night as he claimed that Kate Peter will be facing a motion hearing to have her bond revoked at her next hearing for charges for felony witness intimidation on Tuesday. Kearney claimed that he had been asked by the Worcester County District Attorney's Office to testify against Peter in support of the motion, which will be heard at 8:30 a.m. local time on Tuesday. Peter stands accused of intimidating Kearney by having contact with him despite his protective order against her. Kearney received the protective order earlier in the year as he claimed in court that he lived in fear of Peter and that he felt she was a danger to his life. Kearney's protective order says that Peter has to stand at least 30 feet away from him at all times. He willingly violated this protective order outside of the last hearing in the Karen Reed murder trial earlier this month as he walked up to a police officer who was standing next to Peter and demanded the officer move Peter as she was in violation of his protective order and that he was in fear of his life due to her presence. Despite officers on the scene declining to take action, Kearney claims that there will be a motion today to revoke Peter's bond based on violations of his protective order, including this incident. Kearney apparently backed down from his implied statement that he was in fear of Paul O'Keefe, brother to victim John O'Keefe in the Karen Reed murder trial, as Kearney claims that the two men exchanged direct messages over the weekend. As a result of the conversation, Kearney claims that the two men have agreed to go on a double date for a golfing outing, and if Kearney beats O'Keefe, O'Keefe will donate $500 to Kearney's legal defense fund. If O'Keefe beats Kearney, Kearney will donate $500 to Chris Albert's D&E Pizza's charity fund. Kearney had been claiming that he lived in fear of O'Keefe's statement over the weekend that he would take him down, and speculation had been that Kearney would be seeking a protective order against O'Keefe based on this apparent threat. Peter is due in court at 8:30 a.m. local time for a scheduled status hearing in the witness intimidation case. Kearney claims he will be testifying for the prosecution at that hearing. Future Jim here. According to a Twitter post by Kearney, the hearing was held and the judge agreed to reset the distance Peter must stay away from Kearney. She now must be 100 yards away from the blogger instead of 10 yards. Kearney also claimed that Peter's bond revocation hearing would be held at the end of August as Peter's attorney appeared via Zoom due to a COVID diagnosis. Hearing today in DeCastro versus Blue Bacon lawsuit. Hours before Stephen T. Geblen, representing Jose Chile DeCastro, is set to square off against R. Paul Katrinik, representing Michael Blue Bacon Paratini, in California Superior Court, the court itself released a multitude of documents related to the case Monday night. Tuesday's hearings in the case, where DeCastro is suing Paratini, Kate Peter, Daniel Clement, and Team Skeptic for harassment and defamation, are scheduled to cover Geblen's motion for reconsideration of a recent motion for sanctions and Blue Bacon's attorney's motion for financial sanctions against DeCastro. DeCastro currently has been hit with sanctions owed to Paratini and his lawyer of approximately $1,600 and $4,500 in separate rulings by Judge H.J. Ford III. The mountain of new documents provided to us by PDocs of thepublicdocuments.com essentially concern today's trial and next week's motion for summary judgment in the hearing. DeCastro's attorney argued that a summary judgment in favor of Paratini is premature at this time, as he has not had the opportunity to depose Paratini nor finish gathering information needed to get up to speed in the trial. He and DeCastro accused Paratini and Paratini's lawyer of taking advantage of DeCastro's recent incarceration in Las Vegas in order to rush through sanctions hearings and the motion for summary judgment, knowing that DeCastro was incarcerated and could not defend himself. DeCastro only informed the court of his incarceration through Geblen last month. No notice was provided to the court or to Blue Bacon's lawyer before that time. when DeCastro had made statements on his YouTube page that he was in jail, and it was widely known that he was incarcerated by those that follow DeCastro, no official filings were made to officially inform the court of DeCastro's incarceration until recently. Blue Bacon's attorney commented on this as he claimed that he was officially notified that DeCastro was incarcerated on June 28, 2024. He then reviewed DeCastro's YouTube channel and found that DeCastro apparently had access to his email, as he had made numerous statements on his YouTube channel about his incarceration, but never followed through to notify the court or Blue Bacon's attorney of his change of status. Geblen is seeking either the denial of the motion for summary judgment next week or a 2-month delay of the hearing so he can better prepare for it. We will update the story with the outcome of today's hearing as we receive it. DeCastro announces independent press union. Jose Chile DeCastro announced that he was forming a new organization of independent journalists on his Monday night live stream. Details remain sketchy at best, as DeCastro refused to release the name of the organization until he has filed the paperwork establishing it. He also claimed that he would be releasing a website offering a sign-up for independent journalists in August. Briefly explaining the organization, DeCastro claimed it was a union and that members would be required to pay dues to the organization to support membership. He would then use the money gathered in order to send journalists around the country to cover news stories. DeCastro claimed that Garrett Press with Ranker Van Net's case that is set for jury selection today would be an example of a news story the union would cover. As an example of this, DeCastro explained that due to his current problem with raising funds, DeCastro could not afford to pay the $1,200 it would cost for a round-trip airline ticket to Michigan to attend the jury selection later today in Ranker's case. Having access to union funds would allow him to assign a reporter to go in his place and give the reporter compensation for his or her time covering the story. DeCastro then recruited an auditor named Big Mike from his chat to cover Ranker's case and promised the auditor reimbursement for his fuel costs for his drive to the court. He also implied that he would be filing for press access to give Big Mike the ability to record Ranker's trial on Wednesday. Jury selection for Press with Ranker's trial is expected to begin at 8 a.m. local time this morning, with his trial beginning on Wednesday. DeCastro is currently paying $48,000 to fund Ranker's defense in the case. The YouTuber also may be facing a major setback in his attempts to sue the state of Nevada for his wrongful detention in the Clark County Detention Center. Research by attorney Paul J. Darcy indicated that Nevada does have laws that allow those acquitted of crimes to seek restitution from the state for their incarceration. Darcy apparently found that they only apply to felony convictions and have very limited maximum payouts for incarceration based on years of incarceration. DeCastro has maintained that he will be seeking a 7-figure settlement from the state for the overturning of his 2 misdemeanor convictions for which he served approximately 4 months in the detention center. This is a developing story. This day in history, DeCastro loves to Apree. On this day in history, Jose Chile DeCastro declared his love for the work of comedian Apree, who recently launched a parody channel featuring his own versions of First Amendment audits. Apree's channel had quickly outpaced DeCastro's in new membership and views and had gained DeCastro's attention due to his attempts to film from outside of a private law office while he was claiming to film a fishing show. In the past year, Apree's popularity has grown significantly, with his videos averaging over 100,000 live views per release. DeCastro's own videos seem to peak at 16,000 views in recent history, though he has had live streams hosted on his channel by Michael Eline that have rivaled the numbers that Apree reaches on a regular basis. Also on this day, DeCastro claimed that a woman's beauty peaks at 23 years of age. He claimed that women are unattractive and not developed below that age, and their beauty decreases beyond the age. DeCastro also stated that if a woman was attacked in public, she should not fight back or wait for the police to help. Instead, she should call men surrounding her for help, as women are incapable of defending themselves and should not rely on the police for help. YouTuber Harvey Freebird also made the news on this day as he pepper sprayed a man multiple times in an altercation over Freebird recording the man at a boat ramp in Harris County, Texas. The obviously intoxicated man objected to being filmed by Freebird. The two got into an oral altercation, and Freebird pepper sprayed the man twice as the man began to become aggressive. The man responded by throwing Freebird's camera in the water. Police treated the man for pepper spray on the scene, and it is unclear if he was arrested. Freebird was not charged in the incident. Freebird later retrieved his camera from the water. It is unclear what, if any, damage the camera sustained from the water, or if Freebird took action against the man for damaging his camera. Since you made it this far, just a quick reminder that the documents from many of the court cases we feature for download are not free. We take part in a small group of creators who pay for the documents you see here. We do not watermark the documents and make them available for all to use without charge. You often see the documents we paid for on popular YouTube channels, and we do not ask for nor expect credit for our work. Sometimes, though, paying for batches of documents is a bit expensive. Last night's documents for the Blue Bacon vs. Chili DeCastro story cost PDocs of the public documents nearly $100 in total to be able to provide them for download. For those inclined to help him out or to offset the costs of providing the treasure trove of documents, can do so by buying him a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, the public documents. The proceeds will go to help him recoup the costs of the massive document dump yesterday, and maybe, just maybe, keep funding his site for some time to come. Thank you in advance for helping out, and thank you in advance for your continued support of our program and website. Please also note that there will be no live streams tomorrow, though this show and all produced content will appear as normal. I'm scheduled to do some housework tomorrow, including rearranging my office and finally putting my new computer chair together so you'll no longer hear the squeak of my chair in every episode. Be afraid, folks. Be very afraid.